Hello and welcome to another episode of our chats. This time it is Pfeiffer Georgi, the women's road race champion for Britain. Two-time now, after she won the first one in Lincoln. She's certainly a rider for the real gritty, tough days, and that really shows. It was super great to chat to her, and you'll get to hear about her career, how she got started, even, and how that involved a crash, and also turning into a road captain and all that entails. Is really fascinating. So listen and enjoy. Hi, Pfeiffer. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Bit tired after the weekend, but yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, how was that? Because there's Omloop, which was won by the quartet, and I think you got 13th,
Yeah,
in a sort of select group behind them. And then yesterday, Kristen had that massive breakaway.
yeah,
I think, I'll be honest, I was trying to follow on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it nowadays, and someone actually put out that you'd got taken to hospital. I was like, oh my God, what the heck? I think someone said the wrong number on race radio or something.
yeah,
So it came across that you'd gone and crashed out. Obviously, you didn't. You got third, just behind former guest, actually, Misha.
yeah,
Um, yeah, how was that? How was the weekend? More importantly, and how were the races?
yeah. Like the first classics of the season, always a bit nervous. So there's quite a lot of crashes. I think Saturday was going really well, actually, up until we all got, yeah, most of our team got stuck behind one of the bigger crashes on Haguk. So yeah, kind of an important moment. So then we were kind of chasing when the race really kicked off, and yeah, I had to do like a really big effort, and I made it to the front group of seven. But then when they started attacking, I just wasn't able to follow. So for me, that was quite disappointing because, yeah, I was hoping to be able to be there with them and kind of, yeah,
Hmm.
contest the final. So, yeah, a bit of bad luck and wasted energy. So, yeah, that was a bit disappointing. And then Sunday was, yeah, different. We kind of went into the race with the full, yeah, plan to sprint with Charlotta, and that didn't end up working out as it was, yeah, I think we were the only team that wanted a sprint, and yeah, other teams had the idea to make it really hard, lots of attacking, and so then I just was trying to, yeah, cover moves and ended up being in, yeah, the final move that sprinted for second, not for the win.
Yeah, and I guess that's something I've not really thought about. But who makes that call? I know, or certainly it's been said on commentary before that you're a road captain, which I think is remarkable given that you're only 23, which is equally remarkable because I feel like you've been around forever in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, my
Like
teammates
you,
say the same.
yeah, you've kind of been ubiquitous with the DSM team, and it's like, but you're 23. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's in the nicest possible way. You're way too young to, and it terrifies me. But you're
yeah,
so talented. Um, but who makes that call to go? Okay, it's clear we're the only team for the sprint. Let's knock that on the head. Like, does that come from Charlotta as the sprinter? Does that come from you as the captain? Does that come from the car? Like, who's making that decision?
yeah. I think the difficulty was with, I think it was our mistake letting Kristen go because I think we all knew she was a strong rider. And then it would have been maybe fine if other teams had been interested in chasing. But when we saw that other teams were just going to keep attacking and trying to make it hard, and then the gap started getting bigger, then we, I dropped back to the car when I was in the break in the middle of the race, and I spoke to our DS, and he said, "Yeah, we'll just sit on because we still have Charlotta behind." And then, yeah, in the end, it kind of the groups came back together, and we were still trying to sprint with Charlotta for second, but in the last 5K it split up again, and at that moment there's not time to drop back towards the car, so it's just you have to make the decision in the moment and yeah, race from where you are like in the last 2K. There's not really time to think too much.
Yeah, of course. And how does it come about that you become a road captain? Also, firstly, what does it involve? And secondly, is that something that comes naturally to you or something you really have to work at? Like, how is it for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it comes naturally to me. I think I'm not the most like outspoken person or like to be yeah in control and yeah the most loud girl in the group. But I think I've got quite good race knowledge and can stay calm in races, and I think that's important. Mostly it entails not really making big decisions in the race. It's more just making sure our plan that we put it into action and then we're all riding together. So it's kind of making sure that everyone's there. If someone's missing, you calling them up and more, yeah, guiding the girls into our like key moments in positioning and in the lead out as well. It's just, yeah, more having the voice rather than making big decisions on the road, actually.
Hmm. Does it help you that, like, certainly from looking at your Palmares, like, you're someone who's always there or thereabouts? Like, if you had to put money on someone to get a top 10 in any given race, like, you're a pretty good banker for that. Like, no matter how hard the race is, you always seem to be,
Yeah.
in and around the top 10. Does that help for road captaincy because then you're always involved?
Yeah, I
Or
think there's an element of that. Like you have to pick a captain that will be there throughout the race because sometimes we have maybe a split captainship that when we know it's a really hard race, we have our usual captain, and then when we know they're going to be gone, then someone else takes that role. But most of the time, you kind of want someone who will be there for most of it and can, yeah, keep the control and yeah, make any decisions if they have to be made whenever it is during the race.
it's such a, I guess, an unexplored area.
Yeah.
You hear about that role, but sometimes I don't really know what goes on. So it's really fascinating to hear that side.
Yeah.
Um, if I can, I'd like to switch tack entirely and talk about, like, how did you even get into cycling? Because I always find that fascinating. Like, everyone has a different route. You
Yeah.
know, you can look at some people, it's like it's clear it's a family thing. Like if a dad or mum was a racer, like it's kind of obvious. Whereas other people, it's like, oh yeah, I just did it for fitness, and that's, I just ended up good. Like,
Yeah.
what was your route in?
Yeah, my family is yeah, like a complete cycling family and my dad used to race and when my mom met my dad then she started doing it and I got into local racing and time trials and everything. And we used to live in Herne Hill in London. So when I
Oh,
was yeah. So that was a pretty easy way in. When I was 4, they took me to the velodrome and got me on a little track bike. And I always say, like, one of my earliest memories is that I didn't understand the concept that you couldn't stop pedaling on a track bike. So I was going down the back straight and I got tired, so I just stopped and I got flung over the handlebars and I just
ah.
like completely cut my arms and everything. And I remember saying, I'm never coming back. And then the next week I was back again. So I obviously loved it.
Yeah, and that track is not forgiving. I
No.
like I've ridden on it. I know that, like, yeah.
Especially when I was 4, it was still concrete. Now it's the nice all-weather surface, but it was, yeah, not the
Oh,
softest landing.
that also, like, to ride a fixed wheel as a 4-year-old. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a 5-year-old and she's still on stabilizers, so to be
Yeah.
going around at a velodrome on a fixie, like, that's some good going.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like, how did that develop? Like, at what point did you go, oh yeah, this could actually be a career? Do you
Yeah.
even think it could be now? Like, I assume you do. I hope you do.
Yeah.
But
For
like,
sure.
at what point did you go, oh yeah, yeah, I might be able to, earn some money and earn a living out of this?
Yeah. So I started racing when I was 6, just at Castle Coombe, which was our local, yeah, like motor racing circuit. And then I did, yeah, all youth and junior racing. And at that point, it was just for fun and yeah, I had loads of friends doing it, and it was just yeah, something I enjoyed the competitive side of it, and I enjoyed cycling, training, riding with my family. So that was that, and then when I was first year junior, then I won Gant Wevelgem, and that was the first yeah race that it was in Europe and kind of with a bigger field and yeah, something that kind of opened my eyes and thought, oh, maybe I am good enough to do this. And from that, then the DS of Sunweb like started talking to me, and I wasn't going to sign with them that year because I was still a junior. But then we just stayed in contact, and that led to my first contract with the team.
Wow, because like I looked at that result sheet actually this morning from Gent Wevelgem, and like it's kind of crazy to see who's in it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's always fascinating to go back and go, oh yeah, I know who that is. Like 'cause I think
yeah.
you beat Lorena
Lorraine,
Vivas.
yeah, exactly.
Was Lonica in there as well? Lonica
Yeah,
Uniken. Um, yeah, so it's kind of crazy to just read through.
yeah,
I like doing that with Junior Tour of Wales as well,
yeah.
in the men's because it's just
Really,
crazy. Like everyone, even like the people right at the bottom, end up being
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good, you know.
yeah. Junior
Um,
Wells has got a good track record, actually.
yeah. So yeah, like you mentioned that Sunweb started talking to you. Were they the only suitors for you, like, or were other teams kind of interested, but you kind of just you like the vibe of Sunweb, and what even made you choose Sunweb?
Yeah, so I think at that time it was more a decision between whether I was going to go on to the under 23 track program or Sunweb was like the main team that I was really talking to. And yeah, I think I was most interested in them. And I think it just came down to that I enjoyed the road more, and that was the sort of racing that I saw myself being good at, and yeah, and just at the end of the day enjoyed more. So I think it was a decision that I wasn't sure about for the year, but then by the end it became quite an easy decision. And yeah, I think it's been the right one.
Yeah, are there any aspirations to return to the track? Obviously, it's an Olympic year, so people always start thinking about that. Are there any designs on doing that, or are you almost fully focused on the road now?
Yeah, I did the track Europeans last year, and that was the last kind of track event that I've done. I did not so many in the first few years that I turned pro, but did a couple, yeah, smaller races and then Europeans in last year. But I think, yeah, my calendar is so busy, and to be the best where I want to be the best, which is at the classics, then yeah, I think for me, I need like full dedication to that. And the even periods that I don't have racing, then I need the rest. So it's for me, it's just where my what's the word? I don't know what the word. Where my
Yeah.
priorities, yeah,
Mm.
I think it's where my priorities lie. So I think it can be combined, but I enjoy the road more, and I see myself having more potential on the road. So then it was something that is kind of just, yeah, drifted away a bit.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I did obviously mention the Olympics just a minute ago. Are there
Yeah.
any designs for the road race? Because that is such a classics kind of route to
Yeah.
my mind. And it's sort of a race that favours those with tactical nous and those who can kind of cope on their own.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be so hard to control because the teams are so tiny almost.
Yeah.
Like is that something that you're looking forward to, and have you had any discussions regarding that with either your coaches or the GB team? Like, where are you with that?
Yeah, I'd really love to be selected. I think at the moment it's just a long list, so we don't find out final selection until June, I think. But I
Oh,
think yeah, so it's quite late. But I think yeah, the course for me is really exciting. So I'd love to be able to go. And yeah, I think Olympics is always special with the numbers in the field. Like it's such a different dynamic, and because it's such a big prize on the line, then you don't get the normal tactics that you'd usually expect in six rider teams like throughout the whole season. So it's yeah, going to be exciting, I think.
yeah. And kind of on that tactical front, we saw a masterclass from you last year at is it Bruges de Panne?
Yeah,
Yeah, where you managed to slip away from the group and get quite a hefty advantage at one point, I think. I think you still had about a minute 10
yeah,
by the end. Like, as far as I can tell, that was like your first World Tour
yeah. It was.
win. Like, how was that for you? And was there, like, whilst you were soloing, were you like, oh, I've got this? Or were there nerves and like, oh, what if I mess up? What if I, stack it on a corner? What if I puncture? Like,
Yeah,
what was going through your mind through that, basically?
yeah. That was such a surprise for me, winning that race. I just remember feeling yeah not great the whole day, and it's
Really?
such yeah. and it was such a hard race. And I think we, as a team, also made it hard because we wanted to put it in the gutter and make echelons every time we came round to De Moran, which is like the really long straight and completely, yeah, unforgiving. So every lap we were doing that, and then we had me and Megan in the front group, and um, I remember thinking, okay, right, I'm going to attack. And then Megan's going to counter, like, this is going to be for Megan. And then she went first and set me up perfectly. And I was like, okay, now I have no choice. I have to go full commitment and just, I remember I had a gap opening and then just kept my head down. And the whole time I was just feeling so bad and my legs were screaming. And I was convinced I was going to get caught. So I was so surprised that it was yeah, that I won, and it was such a big gap because my DS was like saying in my ear, like, yeah, 10 seconds.
No.
So the whole way I was like just absolutely dying and thinking I was going to get caught at any moment. And then it was only in the last K, then I heard my teammate on the radio say that I've got it. Um, and it was only the last 200 meters that I actually sat up and could enjoy it. And so that was a really special day for me actually.
Wow, I would have been spitting feathers at my DS if they did that. Like telling me I've got 10 seconds when you've got over a minute. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's harsh, but I mean, fair enough. If it gets you to win,
I don't think
like
he did it on purpose. I think that the DS is always like 2 minutes behind. So I think at the time I had 10 seconds, and then yeah,
yeah,
and then I might have actually had a minute, but yeah, then it was too late.
yeah. But impressive that you did that whilst feeling like absolute rubbish. Like
Yeah, I think
you made it look so easy.
yeah, I
If
think sometimes my coach always says that you don't have to be feeling the best to do well, and that's something that's helped me because actually I think a lot of the races that I've won in my career, then I haven't been feeling like my completely fresh or my best form, and it's kind of just accepting that and staying calm and knowing that you can still push through it, I think.
yeah, is there an element of conservation that happens? Maybe like
Yeah,
if you're not feeling great, you're like, oh, well, I can't just attack whenever I like. I've got to be
yeah,
clever here.
exactly. I think when you're not feeling the best, you race smarter, and then when you're feeling amazing, then you do stupid things and end up not winning. So yeah, I think it is actually knowing how to manage what you have better and being smarter and timing it better.
Yeah, and you mentioned like other times you've won, you've felt rubbish as well, or not 100%. Like, does that therefore apply to the two times you've won the British Championships? Because, like, to me, those are like, I guess they typify you as a rider as well. They're really tough courses. They're not straightforward. Like the one that Alice won, I think, was a bit more
Yeah,
straightforward. Like we saw
yeah,
Cav win the men's, and it was just kind of it's punchy in the middle. But by the time it
yeah,
got back round to the finish, it was slightly easier.
yeah.
Whereas last year, there's that massive climb right near the end, and I guess I feel that was a tougher course. I could be wrong. I
Oh,
didn't ride
100%.
any of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100% tougher. Yeah. It was,
Um.
yeah.
Yeah. So like to me, they exemplify who you are. Like you excel on the tough courses, the classics,
Yeah.
and when it's difficult. Um, were they similarly days where you felt like rubbish, or were they, days that you felt good, but you
Yeah.
could have felt better, or how were they for you?
Yeah, I think the in Lincoln, I think I felt more confident and better than I did in Saltburn. And then, like even before the race, like I thought, oh, the course is maybe a bit hard, like with the level of some of the climbers, who were also in the race. Then I wasn't sure how it's going to pan out. So then I think, even during the race, then I was doubting a bit, and I think I kind of did the same thing in both races, like with 1 or 2 laps to go, I did sort of a test effort up the climb to the finish because they both finished kind of similarly with a
Mm,
maybe 1 to 2 minute effort, like full gas up to the finish line. So I kind of did an attack, but also like a test effort for myself to see if I could win it in a sprint or if I'd have to like attack. And both times I felt strong and I was able to get a gap. So then I was just like, just keep it together for that last lap and then just go all out from the bottom. And that's what I did both times, and it luckily worked out.
yeah, and like that Lincoln course, I know. I watched Lincoln GP last year, and it's
Yeah,
quite local to me. And you don't get to see on TV how hard it is. I'll be
no,
honest. Like
absolutely
that
not.
time at Michael Gate is horrendous. I honestly I don't know how you guys or you folks even managed to get to the top because I know I wouldn't. Um, but yeah, like I know you said you did those kind of test efforts, and you're like, well, I know if I get to the finish, I should be, there or thereabouts. Like, at what point do you start going, oh yeah, I've got this in the bag, or do you ever start thinking that?
Not until I crossed the line. I think
Really?
Lincoln was complete, like I was expecting people to come like round even the last corner, so that was a complete surprise. And
Wow.
last year then I looked behind, yeah, in the last 100 meters and then I knew I'd got it. But yeah, in most times I would never assume that I've won it until I've actually crossed the line.
Yeah. Do you end up racing any different, like because you've won it already? Did you race the second, like your second victory? Did you go, "Well, there's no pressure, I've already won it once," like, or do you still put a lot of pressure on yourself?
I think it was more pressure because I thought I know I can win it and I know I'm physically able to. And it's, yeah, that's two different things, knowing you can win and actually doing it. And I think nationals is so hard also when I have no teammates and the nature of the race and the tactics is, yeah, strange things can happen. So it's,
Mm,
yeah, a very difficult race to win. And I think after losing the jersey 2 years ago, then I was like so hungry to get it back because it meant so much to me to be able to wear it. So I think I had even more pressure the second time round because, yeah, before Lincoln, I never expected to win. I think most people never expected me to win. So there was just, yeah, it was just like an opportunity, and we see what we can do. And then, yeah, last year I felt like not that I should win, but I could win, which gave me a bit more pressure personally.
yeah, and is there maybe a bit of pressure to like prove it wasn't a fluke
Yeah,
almost, where you're
yeah.
like, well, I've got to make sure like people know I can do this still.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I think it was, yeah, I think a lot of pressure comes from me personally, like less so of proving people wrong or something or what other people put pressure on me. I think it
Mm.
more comes from me. Yeah.
Is there also like I guess I'm probably going to phrase that wrong, but like how does it change how you race on the continent and like in pro races once you've got the bands? Do you then
Yeah.
does it change how you feel, or like are you just still racing as you normally would?
Yeah, I think the first year after Lincoln, then it definitely changed how I raced in the fact that it gave me more confidence and I felt like I was, yeah, a bit more present in the peloton and I could kind of, yeah, I don't know. It just gave me, just gave me more confidence, and I just got my elbows out a bit more, and just like felt, I felt that I was like making a step, and I was, yes, finally getting some results, and that I was good enough, and um, yes, I think in that way, that first title kind of changed that, and I think, yeah, this year I think it was just an honor to wear the bands, and I think it, yeah, now whether I have them or not, then I think I still have the same motivation to try and win like in the classics. And I think it's just like an extra bonus on top to get to wear the nice jersey.
Yeah, and obviously you've managed to win them in the road. Are you aiming to try and win them and complete the set in a time trial, or is that something that you think is maybe too far for you at the moment? Like, how do you
Yeah,
feel about that?
I think yeah, like major championship time trials are probably a bit too long for me. I think I'm kind of good at, yeah, 5 to 10K sort of time trials, and then yeah, the nationals is maybe 45, 50 minutes. So then that's not maybe the best for the rider type that I am, but yeah, never say never.
Well, that was actually one of my questions that I planned to ask a lot earlier, but forgot. How do you see yourself as a rider? Because I've talked about how it appears to me as a fan, but
Yeah.
like, how do you view yourself as a rider, and has that actually evolved since being a junior?
Yeah, I think it's definitely evolved. I think the first couple of years, then I was just trying to, yeah, see what type of rider I develop into, and I think it's become clear like the classics is the, yeah, the type of races that I'm good at with like the short punchy climbs, the cobbles, also the weather suits me well. So I think that's something that we found quite early on that I could be good at. I think I say in recent years, maybe since last year, then I also got the opportunity to do races like Strada and Amstel and Liège, which are a bit harder, like climbing wise. And I think that's something I can still develop into a bit more as I kind of
Hmm.
grow and develop and just get stronger.
Wow. And are there any designs to turn yourself into a bit of a mountain goat, or is that like
No,
is it just classics all the way?
yeah, I think the classics is where my heart lies, and I think my dream would be to win Flanders and Roubaix, like the two big aims.
Could you imagine?
Yeah,
It'd be really good to see, like you just even sprinting along the Roubaix Velodrome.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be solo. Solo's good, but winning in the
yeah.
sprint is also awesome.
I mean, I wouldn't be fussy.
Yeah, exactly. Why be picky in those
Yeah,
situations? But like you said that you actually don't mind the inclement weather, or certainly that's what I was in, inferring from what you'd
yeah,
said. Like, do you on a morning of like a classics like Omloop at the weekend, do you open the window and go, "Oh, I'm glad it's raining," or do you go, or is it more, "It's raining. I know that's going to put other people off. I don't mind it." Like, are you, yeah, are you
yeah.
celebrating, or are you just kind of, meh, it'll do?
Yeah, I don't think I need rain to do well, but I think I can maybe like it more than other people, and I think I'm used to it, and I think I've always done well in rainy races, and it definitely doesn't put me off. So I think half the peloton maybe switch off and already have a slightly negative mindset, and I think
Mm,
for me then it yeah doesn't change anything, and sometimes it's actually even better for me. So it's not a problem at all.
yeah, it's a bit of a shame that you're British champion in a way because that nice pristine white
Yeah,
jersey in the rain
it's
is
grey. Yeah.
it's not a good mix, but what can you do? You mentioned Flanders, you mentioned Roubaix. I'm going to assume they're two of your big objectives for the season, but what
Yeah.
are your sort of other ambitions this year?
Yeah. So at the moment, I just know kind of half of my year program.
Hmm.
So we just focus on the classics. With Flanders and Roubaix as the big goals. And this year then I finish at Amstel rather than doing Liège again. So then I have a bit of a break to kind of re reset after the busy period, and then um, we're gonna discuss like the second half of the year later on when it's still known with confirmed with dates, and also Olympics. It's a bit unknown about July, August time what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, of course, and obviously there's like the Tour de France farm as well. Like, it's a busy old time in the summer.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like they could have made that easier and planned things really, but
Yeah, there's
yeah,
always a busy period then, yeah.
yeah, of course. I guess the only questions I have left are like, how can people keep up to date with your goings on? What you're up to. Just if they're interested and they heard this and they're like, oh yeah, I want to keep up to date, like see what races she's doing and things like that.
Yeah, I guess through Instagram or following the team's page, they always announce our programs, and watching our races like on Eurosport? Yeah, Eurosport
Yeah,
stills.
Eurosport
Yeah, yeah. I
and
get confused now.
Discovery Plus. Oh, one question I asked someone else this recently. I don't know whether this one will go out before the other one or not. The incidentally the other national champion Fred.
Yeah.
Um, how do you approach cobbles in terms of, are they something that you aim to just get across in a group of like, and hope that other people fall away, not fall,
Mhm.
but you know what I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
um, aren't able to keep up the pace, and then you attack on the kind of tarmac bit, or do you look at cobbles and go, okay, I can make an attack on this?
Yeah, I think in Roubaix this is something we spoke about a lot last year, about how a lot of the decisive attacks are made like in between the sectors.
Hmm.
And it's a moment where everyone kind of thinks, all right, I've got through the sector, I can rest now. And then they're not so focused on the bits in between. So I think in a race like Roubaix, it's the perfect opportunity. And I think Yeah, personally, I also feel strong on the cobbles, and that's something that yeah, I think I've got better at over recent years. Just, yeah, I think having more experience of it and doing more recons and more practice. So yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time. I really hope it goes well at Flanders and Roubaix.
Yes.
It'd be lovely to see the British jersey come across the line first. Um, no pressure, obviously,
No.
but we'd love to see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. That was our chat with Pfeiffer. Special thanks this time go to Bespoke, her management team, just for helping set this up. We wouldn't have been able to get half as good a chat without, or even any chat, to be honest, without their help. Um, so thank you, obviously, goes to them, and also thank you for Pfeiffer for agreeing and just spending that time with me, chatting, and yeah, I think she's amazing. Hopefully, she can fulfill her ambitions of winning at Flanders or Roubaix or both. Both would be fun. Um, and yeah, she always does that British jersey proud. So, as I say, thank you, Pfeiffer, for for the chat, and thank you, listener, for making it this far. Ta ta.